CBS News has confirmed that the president has been asking about a big real estate deal. How about the U.S. buying Greenland? All of it. The world's biggest island, 80% of it covered in ice. Our Seth Doan reports tonight from Greenland.
Ever since the ratification of the United States Constitution in 1789, the country has grown from 864,746 square miles to 3,531,905 square miles through territorial acquisitions. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 for $10 million was the country's first and largest successful territorial acquisition. It nearly doubled the landmass of the original 13 states of the U.S. Another successful purchase, and the cheapest, was that of Alaska for $7.2 million. Apart from these two cases, the United States has made some other territorial purchases, and the most recent, of which left the world perplexed, was during the administration of Donald Trump, who expressed his intention to buy the world's largest island, Greenland. So the questions are, what's so attractive about Greenland? How much could the world's largest island be worth? And what would the implication be for the world if any country buys Greenland? Greenland is very large, slightly larger than Mexico. It does, however, have one distinguishing feature, which is 80% of its territory is permanently covered by ice. Owing to this, Greenland is officially the world's largest island. That is not a continent. It has a population of about 57,000 people, the majority of whom are Inuit, and about 1/10 are Danish. And they are mostly concentrated in the 20% of the country that is not covered in ice and snow. Although Greenland has its own extensive local government, it is also a part of the realm of Denmark. Not only has Greenland's economy been based on fishing and hunting, but the country's climate and geography make farming nearly impossible, except in the extreme south where sheep farming is popular. As a result, it appears that this territory has no particular appeal. Greenland, in fact, has been largely unknown to the rest of the world since the end of the Cold War. However, several countries, including major U.S. adversaries such as China and Russia, as well as other Arctic Council members, have a vested interest in Greenland for a variety of reasons ranging from political symbolism to control of a vast supply of minerals on the island. So here are 3 reasons that give Greenland its high strategic values. First is its strategic location. The Arctic is rapidly transforming from an impassable and inhospitable icebound region to one that offers new opportunities for expanding sea routes, economic exploration, and geopolitical maneuvering. The Arctic sea ice minimum, which measures the total area of Arctic sea ice, has decreased from nearly 8 million square kilometers in the early 1980s to 4.15 million square kilometers as of September 2019, indicating a 12.85% decline per decade. Melting Arctic sea ice is opening up for the development of new shipping routes, the most geopolitically significant of which is the Transpolar Sea Route. The Transpolar Sea Route, which is expected to become the primary Arctic shipping route by 2030, as melting ice opens the way for large vessels, cuts across the center of the Arctic Ocean, avoiding the territorial waters of Arctic states and connecting the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. This is significant for a number of reasons. One of which is that traveling from one hemisphere to the other via the pole will be faster. Not only that, but it also means that new shipping routes connecting North America to Russia and Europe can be established. And because Greenland is in the middle of these 3 regions, it could serve as a supply point for ships using these new routes. The second reason that has increased Greenland's strategic value is the riches under its ice. The melting ice is expected to bring large amounts of resources such as oil and rare minerals. According to a 2008 U.S. Geological Survey estimate, the 3 major basins offshore Greenland could yield up to 52 billion barrels of oil equivalent. Also, a 2015 study estimated that Greenland could produce enough hydropower to meet its own needs and export the surplus. And Greenland is known to hold significant reserves of copper, zinc, lead, iron, cobalt, gold, platinum group metals, and rare earth elements. So, Greenland's resource potential, combined with its geographic importance in future global trade, has made it a potential hotbed for geopolitical maneuvering even in the coming years. And finally, Another reason Greenland has become valuable, particularly to the US, to the point of proposing to buy it, is for military purposes. Greenland is already home to the US military's northernmost base, as the US controls its external defense. But then the US cannot increase its military presence without the authorization of Denmark and Greenland. As a result, purchasing Greenland would allow it to freely expand its military bases and defend itself against Russia. This will also enable it to invest in Greenland's untapped gas, oil, and minerals, which are considered to be abundant. However, Greenland insists it's not for sale, despite the US interest during the administration of President Donald Trump to buy it. But how much could the world's largest island be worth? Well, it's difficult to put a price on the world's largest island, as this calculation is subjective. However, one approach would be to use a real estate technique and look at sales comparisons. This means using similar properties that have recently been sold, and a perfect comparison for Greenland would be the purchase of Alaska from Russia in 1867. Also, Alaska's land area, which is 586,412 square miles, is comparable to that of Greenland. It has a similar climate and similar population density, which is a good proxy for total development, and like Greenland, it has abundant oil reserves. Alaska was purchased by the United States for $7.2 million, which is approximately $130 million in today's dollars. And because Greenland is roughly 1.5 times the size of Alaska, we'll increase the price by 50%, bringing it to $195 million, which will round up to $200 million for a nice even number. This seems absurdly low, given that homes sell for much more nowadays. So let's use another real estate technique. What did previous buyers pay for the property? Greenland hasn't recently been on the market, but that doesn't mean other countries haven't tried to pay for it. For example, in 1946, the United States considered buying Greenland from Denmark for $100 million in gold. In today's dollars, that equates to about $1.4 billion. That still seems excessively low. It is less than a year's worth of the country's GDP, which was $2.7 billion in 2016. Another approach to this would be to treat Greenland as a business and calculate its worth using a price-to-earnings ratio. We'd use its GDP for earnings, but with one caveat. That will be, given that Danish government subsidies account for roughly 1/4 of Greenland's GDP, we'll assume annual earnings of $2 billion. The average price-to-earnings ratio among Standard & Poor's 500 companies is around 21.3. So if we priced Greenland like an average S&P 500 company and use GDP as a proxy for earnings, we would arrive at a valuation of around $42.6 billion. This could be a more acceptable worth. However, Greenland isn't a typical S&P 500 company. In light of this, one could conclude that Greenland's future is bright, at least economically. The melting of the island's famous ice sheet is opening up massive reserves of river sand, which is in high demand for making concrete around the world. Oil and mineral reserves in the country are largely unexplored and untapped. Catastrophic global warming may render much of the planet uninhabitable, forcing people to migrate north and south to places like Greenland and Antarctica. To some extent, a large bet on Greenland is a big bet that humans will fail to control climate change. Given the world's, particularly the United States' complete failure to take climate change seriously, this may be a smart bet to make. On the other hand, experts warn that while the world's most powerful nations seek an advantage in the North Atlantic and Arctic regions, the consequences could be disastrous. According to experts, the Arctic region has economic opportunities similar to Greenland, and while this region is home to some of the world's largest iron ore and zinc mines, there is also a cost to exploration, a cost to the environment, and a cost to the people who live in the Arctic and Greenland. Please share, like, and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave your thoughts about this video, and also watch other videos. See you next time.